Hello students, welcome to All 4 E-Learning channel. This is K. Nageshwar Rao, your physics faculty. Today we are dealing with session number 39. In the last session we have started motion under gravity and we have discussed about kinematic equations and their transformation into various forms in case of upward projection, in case of free fall, how the kinematic equations will change. And regarding the sign convention of acceleration due to gravity, if it is upward projection, you have to replace A with the minus G. If it is downward projection, or if the body is traveling in the downward direction, then you have to replace A with plus G. These are the key points that we have discussed yesterday, isn't it? So in case of free fall, let us see what happens. What kind of form the kinematic equations will take. Free fall. Free fall in the sense that the initial velocity will be taken to be 0. What are the kinematic equations in case of free fall? We are going to replace A with plus G. So first equation is V is equal to GT. Second equation, height of fall, S is equal to half GT square. V square is equal to 2GS. Sn is equal to G of n minus 1 by 2. Okay, so these are the equations. So based on these equations, let us discuss about a few possibilities. I'll describe one situation. Let us say this is the surface. Somewhere from here, let us say a body is dropped. Okay, we don't know at what height that is located. If the body is dropped from this point, what happens along this straight line? It travels and it reaches the surface, isn't it? Since it is dropped, initial velocity will be 0. Initial velocity will be 0, isn't it? Let us say there are 2 points on its trajectory. Let us say this is point A and this is point B. So whatever path is followed by the object which is freely falling, on that path I have taken 2 points. Let us say to reach this point from starting, let us say starting point is O. Starting point is O. From this point to this point A, let us say it has taken a time equal to t1 seconds to reach this point A. From this point O to point B to reach, from point O to point B, let us say it has taken a time equal to t2 seconds. Okay. If at all, if we wanted to find out the distance of separation between these 2 points A and B, we can find out. Let me assume that the height of fall from O to A, it is h1. The height of fall from O to B, let us say it is h2. So what is the distance of separation between A and B? Obviously it is h2 minus h1, isn't it? h2 minus h1, and this is what I am trying to find out. See here, I am trying to make use of these kinematic equations to deal with the different possible situations. Okay, so this is like one question. This is like one question. You may face this kind of questions. Okay, so just try to follow what I am trying to find out. I am trying to find out distance of separation between these 2 points A and B. What is A? A and B both are points on the path of the object. And from O to A, how much time it has taken? t1 seconds. From O to B, it has taken a time equal to t2 seconds. Remember children, this t2 seconds is not the time taken by the body from A to B. It is time taken by the body to reach from O to B. Okay, so I am trying to find out the distance of separation between these 2 points. Okay, let me first write expression for h1. Height of fall is expressed as S is equal to half gt square. Here S is what? h1. Okay, how it can be written? Half g. How much is the time taken here? t1 seconds. t1 square. That's how you can write. Similarly, height of fall h2, how it can be written? h2 is equal to half g t2 square. Is that right? So let me replace these 2 equations here, and what you will get? You will get h2 minus h1 as half g t2 square minus half g t1 square. Half g you can take out common, so half g into t2 square minus t1 square. That's how you can write equation for separation, physical separation or a distance of separation between those 2 points A and B. Okay. You can also think about the other possibility. For example, in the question, h1, h2 details were given. Like it was said that the body has started from rest position or it is falling freely from certain height. Okay, it has fell down through a height equal to h1, okay, and in a time equal to t1 seconds, and it has fell h2 distance in a time equal to t2 seconds, if that is the situation. If that is the situation, and if I am asking you for time gap between these 2 points, okay, in what time it has reached from point A to point B, what will be that time? That time will be t2 minus t1, isn't it? From O to B, how much time it has taken? T2. From O to A, how much time it has taken? T1. So T2 minus T1 will give us time taken by the body to reach from point A to point B. If we are supposed to find out this, the same data can be used. See, from this equation, what you can write for from this equation, T1 can be written as T1 is equal to 2h1 by g. Since T1 square is there, you will have under root, isn't it? Similarly, T2 can be written as under root 2h2 by g, isn't it? Now I am going to replace T1, T2 in this equation. So let me write. So T1 minus T2 under root 2h2 by g minus, what is this? Time gap. T2 minus T1 is equal to under root 2h2 by g under root 2h1 by g, isn't it? You can leave it like that, or you can also write it as under root 2 by g into under root h2 minus under root h1. Okay, so like that you can find the time gap between those 2 points as well as the physical separation between those 2 points. Physical separation can be calculated like this, and time gap is this one. So you can think about any other possibility also. How much velocity it acquires by the time it reaches point A? How much velocity it acquires by the time it reaches point B? Okay, so like that you can think about different possibilities, and you can make use of these equations to deal with any kind of situation related to free fall. Okay, let us consider one more situation. Let us say there is a well. Okay, something like this. Well is there. Let us say water is up to here. So the depth of the well, I'll take it as h. What is the depth of the well? H. So if a stone is dropped in the well, what happens? We hear splash of sound, isn't it? So immediately after dropping the stone, we don't hear anything. It has to go and it has to touch the surface of the water, and then splash of sound will be generated, and that sound has to travel back to us. So what is happening? Whatever stone you drop, it has to travel a distance equal to how much? H, and there sound will be created. Here splash of sound will be created, and that sound has to travel back. So let for the downward motion of the stone, let us say a time t1 is taken by the stone, and for whatever sound is created there, for that sound to reach the surface, let us say it has taken a time equal to t2. Time equal to t2. Let me first find out t1. See, since you are dropping, the initial velocity of the stone will be 0, isn't it? And how much distance it covers? It covers a distance equal to h, or the height of a fall will be h only, isn't it, in this case? So if I wanted to write expression for height of fall, it can be written as h is equal to half g t1 square. Actually, it is from s is equal to ut plus half gt square. Ut is 0 because u is 0. U is 0 because we are talking about dropping a body, isn't it? I did not throw the stone into the well. If I throw the stone into the well, there will be some initial velocity. See here, what was done? Just the stone is dropped. So ut will be 0. Then what you will have? S is equal to half gt square. Here s is what? H. Total vertical distance covered. Now from here you can write t1 as under root 2h by g, isn't it? So this is the time taken by the stone to reach the surface of the water. And after the splash of sound has been created, it travels back. In how much time it is traveling back to the surface? t2 seconds. That's what I have taken, isn't it? I'll consider that velocity of the sound is, let velocity of sound is vs. I will take it like that. Vs. V is subscript s. So how much distance the sound has to travel? Sound wave has to travel a distance equal to h. So we know the velocity and distance. Distance is how much? H. Can't we find a time of journey related to sound? So that T2 can be expressed as time is equal to what? Distance covered by speed. Distance covered by speed. So distance is how much here? H. And speed is Vs. Isn't it? So now we have both the times. Time taken by the stone to reach the surface of the water and time taken by the splash of sound to reach back to the surface. How much is that? T1 plus T2, total time. Okay, so after I drop the stone into the well, okay, after how much time I will be able to hear the splash of the sound? I will be able to hear the splash of the sound after a time equal to T1 plus T2. I will take it as T, which is equal to how much? T1 is under root 2h by g and T2 is h by Vs. Okay, so that's how you can handle the situation. Okay, there are questions based on this one also. Velocity of the sound, it will be given in the question. Usually it will be 332 meter per second. Depending upon temperature, its value will vary. But anyways, if whatever velocity of sound you are supposed to use, it will be given in the question, if at all, if you are supposed to make any calculations. Okay, so this is one kind of model. I'll pick up one more possible situation. Here what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider a multi-story building. Let us say there is a multi-story building like this. Okay, like this, there is a multi-story building. So from the top of the building, let us say a body is dropped. Okay, let total height of the building is h. What is the total height of the building? H. If any object is dropped from the top of the building, let us say it takes a time equal to some t1 seconds. T1 seconds is what? Time taken by the object to reach ground. Now let us say after a time equal to t2, somewhere here the body is stopped. Somebody has caught the body. Okay, maybe from the window somebody has caught the body. So by the time it has reached here, how much is the time? T2 seconds. They caught the body and again they dropped it from the air. Okay, so again after it is being dropped from this point, let us say it has taken a time equal to t3 seconds to reach the surface. Students, listen, here T2 plus T3 is not equal to T1. Here it is stopped and again it is released. Again it is released in the sense it's like freshly it has started one more free fall motion. Okay, again here initial velocity is 0, isn't it? So let us try to find out what this T3 value is. Questions may be like this. A body is projected from the top of a multi-story building. It can reach the ground in a time equal to t1 seconds. After a time equal to t2 seconds, let the body is stopped and again it is dropped. Okay, after how much time? Now, after how much time it reaches the surface? It means he is referring to this T3. We have to find out this T3. Let us say here it has covered a distance equal to h1 and here it has covered a distance equal to h2. And from this picture, it is obvious that h is equal to h1 plus h2. Is that right? So here h is equal to h1 plus h2. And this h can be written as total height. It can be written as half g t1 square. Isn't it? Why did I write like that? This h is what? Time of fall or time of descent. If a body is dropped from a height h, in how much time it reaches the ground, and it means you have to we have the time is already given. How much is that? T1, and in terms of T1, how the h can be written? Half g T1 square, like the way we have written here. Okay, is equal to this h1 can be written as in terms of T2 half g T2 square. H2 can be written as h2 half g T3 square. Half g gets cancelled. All these half g's gets cancelled. Now what we are interested in? We are interested in this T3 though. Therefore, T3 square is equal to what you are left with here. T1 square is equal to T2 square plus T3 square. So T3 square is equal to T1 square minus T2 square, or T3 can be written as under root T1 square minus T2 square. So that's how you can think about various possibilities. Children, remember, whenever any description is given about any situation in any numerical problem, just try to understand the situation, and sometimes you need to define your own variables. If at all, if he is not mentioning about distance, let us say distance traveled by the body is equal to x, like that you have to assume things and you have to proceed further. Okay, so all that you need to do is you have to understand the situation, you have to pick up appropriate equation from the set of kinematic equations, and you have to solve. Okay, so let us try one problem. Now let us deal with one more problem. This is one situation. There is a roof at a height equal to 16 meters, and from the roof water droplets are falling. Water drops are falling. They are falling after regular intervals of time. Like, let us say first drop fell from the roof, after 2 seconds one more drop, after 2 seconds one more drop, like that. Okay, so the time gap between all these drops is same. If I say that time gap between fifth one and fourth one is t, then the time of fall for the first drop will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4t, isn't it? If this time gap between fifth drop and fourth drop, it is 2 seconds, okay, and they are falling after regular intervals of time. So what is the time taken by the first drop to reach the ground? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. How much? 8 seconds. So the time gap is same. Time gap is same, but not physical separation between these drops. Listen to me, children. This is a very important point. When you draw this picture, most of the times the students will mention these drops with equal separation. Equal separation won't be possible, because when the drops are falling, they gain velocity. The consecutive separation, it increases. See, between first drop and second drop, the distance is large when compared to any other distances of separation, isn't it? So this is the situation. Okay, whatever 16 meters of height is there, I will make use of this information. First drop, how much distance it has traveled, or what is the height of fall? 16 meters. So time taken, I will take it as t is equal to time of fall is equal to what? Under root 2h by g, and here h is what? 16 meters. What this t is? Time taken by this first drop to reach the ground. Okay, under root 2 into h is what? 16 by g. Under root 16 is 4, so 4 into under root 2 by g. So this is what time taken by the first drop to reach the ground. Okay, so whatever regular time he is talking about in the situation, how much is that regular time separation between consecutive drops? T by 4. If you are taking 5 drops, how many time gaps will be there? 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? So from here to here, if first drop takes a time equal to 4 into under root 2 by g, then the distance of time gap between two consecutive drops will be how much? 1/4 of this value, isn't it? Therefore, time gap between the drops is, I'll take it as t dash is equal to how much? T by 4, isn't it? So now, how much is t? 4 into under root 2 by g by 4, 4 gets cancelled. So time gap between two consecutive drops is equal to what? Under root 2g. I am telling you this point again. In the situation, it is clearly mentioned that the drops are falling from the roof after regular intervals of time. So they are equally spaced in terms of time, not in terms of distance. So time gap is same. So from here to here, if a time gap is t, then from here to here, what will be the time gap? T by 4. From here to here, t by 4. From here to here, t by 4. From here to here, t by 4. Isn't it? Okay. So that's what we have written, t by 4, and finally that time gap comes out to be as under root 2 by g. Okay. Now I can find out distance traveled by the second drop, distance traveled by the third drop, distance traveled by the fourth drop. What is the distance traveled by the fifth drop? No distance. It's about to fall. It did not, it did not start its journey. Okay. So I can find out all the distances. What is the distance traveled by the first drop? It is 16 meters. That is known to us. I will take that as S1. S1 is what? Distance traveled by the first drop, or height of fall of first drop is how much? 16 meters. Height of fall of second drop is equal to half into g into time taken by the second drop to reach this position. How much is the time taken by the second drop to reach this position? How many time slots are there? 1, 2, 3. Each slot is equal to how much? Under root 2 by g. So 3 into under root 2 by g whole square. Actually it is half gt square, no? Height of fall. In case of free fall, ut will be 0. S is equal to ut plus half gt square. Ut will be 0. So S2 is half g, and here time is what? 3 times of under root 2 by g, because here we have got 3 time slots. 1, 2, 3. And this can be further simplified. What you will get? G into 9 into 2 by 2 into g. G 2 gets cancelled. You will have 9 meters. So what is the distance traveled by the second drop, or height of fall of the second drop? 9 meters. Height of fall of the first drop? 16 meters. Okay. Now let us find out height of fall of third drop, S3. Half into g into, what is the time of journey of this third drop? 2 times of this under root 2 by g. Why I have taken 2 times? Because each time slot is equal to under root 2 by g. Here third drop has covered how many time slots? 1, 2 slots. So 2 into under root 2 by g. So 2 into under root 2 by g whole square. And if you take square, what you will get? 4 into g is there, into under root 2 by 2 is here, 2 into under root g, 2 gets cancelled, 4 meters. So what is the distance traveled by the third drop? 4 meters. Okay. What about distance traveled by the fourth drop? I'll take it as S4. S4 is equal to half into g into, from here to here, how much time it has taken? It has taken a time equal to under root 2 by g. Isn't it? Only one single time slot. So under root 2 by g whole square. So if you simplify this, what you will get? G into 2 by 2 into g, and you will have 1 meter. So how much is the distance traveled by the fourth drop, or height of fall of fourth drop? 1 meter. Now can't we find the consecutive distances of separation? Distance of separation between second drop and first drop, how much is that? S1 minus S2. This entire distance minus this distance, isn't it? S1 is how much? 16 meters. Minus S2 is equal to how much? 9 meters. So 16 minus 9, what you will get? It's equal to 7 meters, isn't it? Now distance of separation between second drop and third drop, how it can be written? You have to subtract S2 from S3. S2 minus S3. S2 is how much? 9. S3 is how much? 4. 9 minus 4, how much? 5 meters. And the distance of separation between fourth drop and third drop, let us try to find out that. It can be written like this: S3 minus S4. Distance traveled by the third drop minus distance traveled by the fourth drop will give us separation between fourth and third drop. S3 is how much? 4. S4 is 1 meter. So 4 minus 1, what you will have? 3 meters. Okay. And the distance of separation between fifth drop and fourth drop? S4 minus S5. S5 is what? 0. Fifth drop did not travel any distance. It did not fell from the roof. It is about to fall. That's it. So S4 is 1 meter. 1 minus 0, 1 meter. So here it is 1 meter. Distance of separation between fifth drop and fourth drop, and between 4 and 3, 3 meters. Between 3 and 2, 5 meters. Between 2 and 1, 7 meters. Do you see here? The distance of separation is increasing. Okay. So that's why I asked you to maintain distance of separation increasing as the drops are falling down. So distance of separation between two consecutive drops is not same. What is same? The time gap between two consecutive drops is same. Okay, so this is how you can handle. Okay, thank you children. In the next session we will continue with further discussion. Okay, thank you.